Are you an advocate of going vegan or on a plant-based diet?
You know, it's a funny thing. The research now says if you want the longest life and the best health, it needs to be a whole food plant-based diet, but then you have to take vitamin B12 with it. And vitamin B12 is an animal product. So that says by nature, we may just not be vegan. So we had some animal, but they maybe ate animal food once a month.
Yeah.
Not like every day and a couple of potatoes flipped on the side, right?
Yeah.
But once a month, maybe 3 or 4 times a year would probably be enough. So festivals on holidays, special days.
Got it.
Right? So if you brought it down to once a week,
Yeah.
you would still be eating a lot more meat than mostly people did.
Got it.
And we've changed the meat,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And if you knew how much craziness is in the food industry,
Yeah.
all for the basis of we're not growing our garden, so it has to be put in a place, and then we all go to that place, and there are stability issues, and there are shelf life issues, and then chain of supply issues, and they all take time. So what we're eating and calling fresh ain't fresh.
Yeah.
Right? The vegetables, when you get oranges in UK, they're not fresh.
Yeah.
Because they came from Florida,
Yeah,
or,
they came from, or
or
Spain
wherever
somewhere.
or Spain,
Yeah,
right?
They come from Spain,
Yeah, Spain is a little closer.
Yeah.
But there are so many lags, and of course the plants lose their vitality, and some of the molecules break down.
Yeah.
And so the food becomes poorer and poorer in its nature.
Yeah. Got it.
With time.
Yeah. Awesome. Brilliant.
So you got to take that into account.
Okay.
And so what does it take to set the higher standards? And maybe we'll eventually, after all this big civilization is over, maybe we'll all be living in little huts with a garden around the house and be doing it the way we
go back to work. To what works.
The way we did 100,000 years ago.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is an experiment. We're in an experiment, a self-designed experiment. Not everything about that experiment is good.
Well, it's not really not working. In UK, the statistics are 1 in 5 kids that start school is obese, and by the time they graduate, 1 in 3 is obese. By the time they've graduated.
You know, and that came out of that McGovern report, right? We started eating carbohydrates and dissing oils.
Yeah.
And in 20 years, overweight in the US went from 25 to 60% of the population.
Yeah.
And nobody said anything.
Yeah.
And then slowly Atkins was talking about fats, and then I came along, and Atkins liked me because he didn't have a lot of supporters.
Yeah.
And so I was on his radio show 4 times.
All right. Awesome.
And slowly it's shifting back.
Yeah.
But we're still not clear, because the ketogenic diet, sometimes it's a little extreme, and they don't pay attention necessarily to whether they're getting the essential fatty acids, because that's the only thing you need.
Yeah.
And then it's because they want to have fats that have a shelf life, and the omega-3s and 6s are very delicate. We refrigerate them or freeze them.
Yeah.
And so you have again convenience issues.
Yeah.
So the keto diet doesn't take everything into account, and the keto diet needs to raise its standards too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think people interested in the keto ready to go that extreme go that way.
Yeah.
What we tend to find is when we work with busy professionals or busy moms, it's not always convenient. Yeah. And so we love to have them bring in things that they can really implement in their day-to-day life with ingredients and with resources available to them. And even if they have to stop somewhere where it's a convenient location or store, or in the way they have to pick up something, they know how to make the right choices there. And we continue wanting to give them more of those options. And we're a stand for empowering the food manufacturers to start creating more that becomes available on our shelves that are driven by health backing rather than by a last long on the shelf, but it also gets stuck in the shelf for longer.
That would be a serious raise in standard, that the food producers were actually taking their direction from the needs for health.
Yeah, got it.
Health. Wow, that'd be amazing, right? Because it would transform all of that. It wouldn't be junk foods.
Yeah.
You know, it would require different things.
Yeah. I've got one question which always comes up for us from time to time. We have a number of people from the South Asian community that do our program, and there's this lovely fat ghee that is often consumed and recommended, and a lot of new mums that have just had it. Now, I'd love to hear your view on ghee. Is ghee beneficial to us? Is it harmful to us?
Okay. I recently found out that in India they have 1/8 the cancer than that North America has.
Okay.
1/8. Now you'd think India, you know, it's like in ways dirty and, you know, not rich.
Yeah.
You know, not like fancy places like we have.
Yeah.
You know, and they have 1/8 the cancer. Why? Why? Probably all the spices, the curry and the masala, and so amazing things in spices.
Yeah.
But they have the same amount of heart disease as America.
Yeah.
So like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Probably from ghee.
Ghee. Yeah.
Because heart disease and cholesterol and oxidized cholesterol.
Yeah.
Because when you heat the butter or you keep it for a while, the cholesterol oxidizes, and oxidized cholesterol causes cardiovascular problems.
Amazing. Beautiful to hear
and
that.
So, you know, and in fact, it would be probably better to eat fresh butter, but in very small amounts, than to process the ghee, because in the butter there's a little bit of protein and a little bit of minerals. And ghee, of course, the reason why they made ghee, you have to understand the context, was in a hot climate without refrigeration. If you melt the butter and the protein is heavier than oil and it sinks to the bottom, then you get the scum on the top. You shave that off, you take that out, you end up with just fat. And that's a fat that keeps well. But the cholesterol in it oxidizes, and that's a problem from a health perspective.
Amazing. That is something which I from time to time we have to explain. And just as you say, we're looking at the statistics and the chart where we've moved from a world which was quite labor intensive and spent a certain amount of energy to right now you have regions like India and China which are high with the digital boom, and a lot of the roles and jobs have become quite stationary, not labor intensive. And unsurprisingly, A, heart disease, and B, diabetes are number 1 and 2 are China and India.
Right, makes sense.
And
they've also, again, gone from the farm where they got everything fresh. Because if you drink the milk fresh, the cholesterol is not oxidized. Right? To places where it takes time to get their stuff, and by the time you get it, it's 2 weeks old. And oxygen travels through butter or through fat 8 times faster than it travels through water.
All right.
So and it just goes in, you know, so it travels through the fats and the oils and then oxidizes them. Right?
Got it.
And then the alternative is oils. But the oils are already damaged. A lot of people in the Indian community, particularly, they make the assumption that it's all good and comes from God. And then when they fry the foods, their cancer rate goes up.
Absolutely. And that's a new illness for India. It's the rate at which it's rising, and we've had direct family members gone as a result of cancer. And this wasn't even a conversation or an illness that existed for just 1 generation ago, right?
Just like heart disease was not a conversation in North America and Europe in the 1920s. That's when it began, and that's where the craziness with the food supply began.
Got it. Amazing.